Well, I know I've talked at length about my 2022 Jeep Gladiator. Hydro Blue Rubicon. But you know, I'm not just about the Jeep, not just about my 2022 Gladiator or my 95 Grand Cherokee. Back in 2002, we needed a bigger vehicle. My 94 Concorde just wasn't cutting it. Two growing kids, one of each, long legs, tall kids, getting ready to be teenagers. That was scary. But you know, thought we were going to trade my old minivan in for a vehicle, and we got it all planned out. We were going to wait for the Labor Day credit union sale weekend at the fairgrounds in Ridgecrest, California. And as the time got closer, well, the Concorde decided it might have had some other ideas. I liked the car, but when the AC quit, that was bad enough. It would overheat sometimes, that was bad enough. But then came the biggest problem of all. Started spitting transmission fluid out at the front pump seal to the tune of about a quart every 200 miles or less. Kind of irritating. Anyway, I'm standing up here in Middle Canyon above Tooele, in Tooele, Utah. It's a county recreation area. It's a fee area. There's a lot of campsites. It's very unimproved. There are a couple of pit toilets, very randomly spaced, and there's a few porta potties. I don't know how often they're serviced. I'm sure weekly, given the time of year now. But it is absolutely gorgeous up here. And I'll just kind of walk around a second here and look down the valley a little bit, out to the road. Yeah, I'm not being very cinematic, but that's okay. And, you know, there's bugs. It happens. It's the woods. It's the trees. So, anyway, so we got ready to trade the old minivan, and the Concorde decided that I guess it just didn't like us anymore. That's funny. It is what it is. So when it came time for the credit union sale weekend, we went and got pre-approved ahead of time. Smart thing to do when you're looking for a vehicle. That way, you know what to expect. You know what you can afford, and you live within that. We didn't know really what we wanted. We just knew we needed legroom, especially backseat legroom. Well, we drove a few things, including F150 Supercrew, F250 Super Duty crew cab. I believe we looked at a short wheelbase. Didn't need anything that big. It was overkill. Of course, I'm fond of saying that overkill is just a good start. But really, honestly, that was overkill. So, we drove an F-150 Supercrew with a 4.6 liter V8, automatic, four-wheel drive. I think it was a full Lariat package, which at the time that was That was top of the line. That was the big dog. They've gotten a lot fancier since then. But, you know, the proportions on that were just right. I didn't have any preference on color. We wanted something light colored because it was a desert where it got 110, 115. I know I saw over 120 a couple of times out on range where I used to work. When you're one valley over from Death Valley, it gets hot. So yeah, the desert here in Utah is, at least up here in northern Utah, west of Salt Lake City, it doesn't get that hot, but it's still 100, 105, and it can get kind of miserable because even then it's still a little more humidity than what I had in Ridgecrest. People having fun, side-by-sides. So after we looked around a lot and we talked about it, we settled on what we could afford. We chose not to get a four-wheel drive because, well, we're in Southern California. We didn't really need four-wheel drive. It would have been nice to have gotten out in the desert, but I'd hoped that someday I'd buy a Jeep to do that. Fate intervened, and we wound up moving sooner, where it would have been nice after 4 years. It would have been nice to have had four-wheel drive, but anyway, I don't have a real good nickname for what we bought. We bought a 2002 F150 Supercrew, 4x2, rear-wheel drive, with a 5.4 liter. It's the XLT. It came with a CD player. It came with air conditioning, power seats, power windows, power locks, a sliding rear window. Didn't have a sunroof. Had the chrome wheels. But you know, well, I'll just show you. It's not a bad looking truck. And after 23 years with this truck and 175,000 miles, it's still going strong. So the body's still straight. There's no rust. Okay, so the paint is peeling in spots. You know, it's 23 years old. There's a few scratches on it here and there, but nothing deep. Nothing deep. Make sure I don't fall in this fire pit here as I walk around. So, actually with the new rules in Utah, I don't need that front plate anymore, but that's okay. So I got 174, almost 175,000 miles. 5 years ago, I rebuilt the engine. I picked one up out of a Super Duty that was running so that I could replace the one in his. At 130,000, it lost oil pressure, stopped oiling the top end. The bottom end stayed oiled, but whatever. And the timing chains had stretched and it had been kind of abused. Not greatly. We'd towed a few trailers with it. Notably, the smaller enclosed U-Haul trailer, which weighs, I think it says about 850 pounds. We towed that from Arkansas back to Ridgecrest in California, where we lived, where we bought the truck. We didn't even have the thing close to full, but it towed it with no trouble whatsoever. In fact, I think we got better mileage towing it than we did not having anything behind it. When we moved from California to Utah, we had the biggest enclosed U-Haul trailer, which weighs, I believe it says 1,800 pounds, 1,650, 1,800, something like that. I know It had a weight limit of 2,800. I'll bet we had 3,200 pounds in that trailer, which the limit on this truck is 6,000 pounds towing capacity. And as long as we kept it out of overdrive in the hills, got here no trouble. And a couple weeks later, we went back with a borrowed trailer with a 5,000 pound limit, which I'm pretty sure we put 6,000 pounds in, but at least we got the last of our stuff out here. Again, the truck did just fine, towed it with no trouble whatsoever. Once in Ridgecrest, I towed a 26-foot travel trailer with no brakes. I only had to go 5 miles, and it was only about 35 miles an hour the whole way. I definitely would have liked trailer brakes next time I tow anything that big, which I don't know if I ever will or not, because I don't plan on buying a trailer that size. Twice I've had to borrow the U-Haul car trailers. The old ones weighed about 2,250, if I remember right from the websites. Once I carried my son's 1990 Ranger 4-wheel drive, regular cab, short bed, lift kit, 4-cylinder, 5-speed, 4-wheel drive. That was a $700 truck in California, and we put a lot more into it than that. We towed it back to Ridgecrest from Ephraim. I think altogether that thing maybe weighed 5,000 pounds, including the trailer. A couple years later, we towed my son's 1994 Ford Explorer 4-door with all the goodies. I rebuilt the transmission in it. I paid like $450 for the car. And I think I put that much back into the transmission. Anyway, it started spitting coolant out in the middle of December. So we went and picked it up with a U-Haul trailer. And again, 2,200 plus. The Explorer weighed about 4,050, 4,100, something like that. So I know I was over the limit. And I was pretty close to the limit for the trailer. I think the trailer was limited to like 4,800 pounds. Either way, I was heavy. And the surge brakes worked okay, but I would have loved other brakes. I've used a couple of car dollies to pull Jeeps with. The Cherokee here. We pulled one from, I guess we pulled that one for me from, from Nephi to Ephraim and back to Tuella with my 95 Grand Cherokee. Because I couldn't find the lock or the key for the locked receiver hitch. Oh well. The Grand Cherokee did it. It wasn't happy about it, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, my 2002 F-150 Supercrew. Kathy loved it. I love it. I got it back on the road 5 years ago during the COVID lockdowns, refurbished that engine. I've put 35,000 miles on it since then. I plan to keep it for a good long time. The only thing that would take it out of my hands right now would be either an accident or my son has a growing family. With an almost 15-year-old daughter, and her legs are getting really, really long. And 12-year-old boy who's getting bigger. He's not a weed anymore. The 9-year-old and the 6-year-old, well, he'll be 10 and she'll be 7 before long. Those two are growing like crazy too. They're not going to be in car seats a whole lot longer, I don't think. But no, there's some of the things I'd like to think about doing. I've toyed with the idea of a 2-inch either lower coil or a 2-inch drop spindle for the front and 4-inch drop shackles in the back. get it sit a little bit lower. I mean, it might as well sit down as low as a car, since a friend of mine calls it a car for big people. He's not wrong. It's a cushy vehicle. Well, I'm going to take a look inside. I've got my lunchbox and some stuff on the inside, but for 23 years, I think it's in pretty decent shape on the inside. It's got some wear and tear. The carpet could be better. I'm not going to run a light in here for that. Yeah, it's a little stained in spots, but you know what? It's 23 years old. Headliner is still in great shape. It's not falling down. It's not doing anything it shouldn't. Like I said, it's in pretty good shape overall. Again, nothing wrong with that headliner. Back window slides open. One thing I'm a little perturbed about is there's really no place you can lay the seats flat, but then you don't have room underneath there for anything. It would be nice if I could lift up the seat cushion, but that doesn't work either. So if I put anything under there, I have to take it out before I lay the seat flat. Though the seat going flat is comfortable enough to lay flat on, and I have once or twice. Like I said, I got some peeling paint in spots. Nothing really bad. The fenders, the fiberglass rear fenders are in good shape. The plastic's all in place. Yeah, the bed liner's cracking up at the front especially. I'm not really wondering. I don't want to know what it looks like underneath there, but yeah, but it's not in bad shape overall. So there we have it. That's the hoopty I've owned the longest ever. 23 years. Thing doesn't owe me a darn thing, and I love it. I guess it does kind of have a nickname. A lot of people abbreviate Supercrew with an S, an apostrophe, and a capital letter C for the crew, and then they just call it Screw. I don't know if that's derogatory or not, but it fits. It's a screw. Anyway, y'all be good to each other. You be good to yourselves. Be kind and patient with yourself. And more at another time. As always, I love you. And Roger out.